So, priests and astronomers in the ancient world are very powerful people. Now you may think priests, astronomers, not that interesting. In the ancient world, very powerful people. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, in ancient times, farmers needed to know when to plant their crops. And if there was any sort of natural occurrence, like an earthquake or a lightning strike or a tsunami, these weren't just natural events. These were sent by the gods to remind men that they had done something wrong. Now, priests, why were they important? Well, priests were the only ones who could interpret the will of the gods. There were mainly male priests, but there were some female priests as well, and that put them in a very powerful position because you could colour the interpretation however you'd like. What the priests would do is they would look at the omens, they would dissect chickens, they would look at the entrails of these chickens, and from that they would say, yes, the gods are with us, or the gods are not with us. And on their decision whole battles would be fought based on these omens, or they would not be fought on these omens. So they were incredibly powerful people, the priests, much more powerful than today, because they were basically the middlemen between humans and the gods. Now, coming to astronomy, looking up at the stars, in these skies with a lot of sunshine, you would have had a really good view of the stars. There would have been no light pollution like we have in Northwest Europe, and you would have been able to see the stars very well here. And the stars are also very important for the ancient Greeks because they believed that there were signs in the stars and they could navigate by the stars. So the Greeks in about 100 BC invented what archaeologists describe as the first mechanical computer. Mechanical computer, yes. And we know this because we found one. And we found it at the bottom of the sea near an island called Kythera, and the device is now called the Antikythera device. And it was basically a mechanical set of levers and dials that allowed the priest to predict in advance the position of the stars and solar eclipses and when the moon would be full and half. And this allowed them to predict in advance, which meant that they could basically have feasts on these days, and they could predict that these events were going to happen. Now, the common person was superstitious as hell, so they thought these priests had a real direct line to the gods because they could predict what was going to happen. Well, but it was all done through mathematics and mechanics.